Hey guys, Alexa B Alchemy here to do your weekly card pull. Those of you who have never tuned in before, I do these readings free of charge every single week, so if you would like to leave a donation, you are more than welcome to. But most importantly, please make sure that you are paying attention to your big three, your sun, your moon, and your rising, and tune in every single week if you would like the continued guidance. Today I will be using the Crystal Spirits Oracle deck, which is one of my personal favorites. It's incredibly uplifting, and I always find that it gives me the encouragement I need to get through my days or my weeks, so I hope that you guys find the same. So starting out with Aries, for everyone who has Aries placements in their chart, my Aries sun, moon, and rising. I pulled in reverse for you the card of Blue Lace Agate. Now this card really strongly suggests the importance of peaceful acceptance, freedom from unnecessary drama, and a level of stress-free non-attachment. So there's a level of almost stoicism that I think might be important or helpful for you for this upcoming week. When I say stoicism, I don't mean non-emotionality. What I mean is more a level of openness to the idea that change doesn't have to be stressful. You don't have to attach to things in such a way that when they shift, your entire life feels like it is completely shit hit the fan, for lack of a better word. A lot of the value that comes from non-attachment is that when things do shift, if we're not attached to them for unhealthy reasons, it gives a little bit more of a calm reaction to those changes because we weren't attached to things staying the same. And I think that there's a really fine balance that needs to be struck here because as humans, it is our nature to attach to things, and attachment isn't necessarily unhealthy in and of itself, but the experience we have of our attachments might really affect the experience that we have of our lives. So if your attachment to something is in an unhealthy, I need this to survive kind of a way, and that stimulus shifts or something in that situation shifts, and ultimately when there's any level of change, it threatens our sense of survival, and it can cause us to go into really anxious and or avoidant attachment styles. For this upcoming week, you're being challenged to acknowledge that if those things that you are attached to change, it doesn't mean that your life is over, and it also doesn't mean that it has to be stressful. A lot of the times what happens is our mind thinks that we need it, and so it becomes more stressful than it actually needs to be because of the narratives we have about certain things in our lives. And your challenge this week, my dear Aries, is to embrace the possibility that that shift doesn't have to be stressful. It doesn't have to be hard. Even if you are finding that your experience of something is challenging, and this is not to gaslight yourself, this is to empower yourself, you can look at it and say, wow, I am really stressed out by this, or I'm having a really hard time with this, and that's okay. And also, I'm aware that my relationship to what's going on is very largely dictated by the narratives that are going on in my head. And if I'm attached to a certain story, or to a certain thing, or certain form, a person, a place, and that shifts, I know that my experience of that being stressful is largely created by what it means to me and the meaning I assign to that event. So a good motto for you to take with you for this upcoming week, my dear Aries, is this or something better. If things are changing, it's likely that in the end it is going to be for the better, even if initially it doesn't feel that way. And that's where I think it's important to understand that this card is not meant to be ominous. This is not meant to herald crazy life changes that are going to completely fuck you up. This is meant to herald if there are changes coming your way, which changes the nature of life, so in some capacity that is inevitable. It doesn't have to be stressful. It can be wonderful, and you are the one that gets to decide whether or not that's the experience that you want for it. There's also another message with this. Having been pulled in reverse, it can apply a little bit more to yourself or your shadows, things that are deep and personal to you. And that message is that you are not too anything. You are not too old, you are not too young, you are not too inexperienced, you are not too stuck in your ways. There is nothing that you are too much of to move forward. And I think because this is pulled in reverse, it is likely that maybe when things change, you have a narrative and you tell yourself, oh, I can't do this, like, 20 years ago I could have done that, but now because I'm too old or whatever, I can't do that, and so I'm going to give up. And this card is reminding you that if any of those emotions, those narratives, those thoughts, etc. come up in this upcoming week, you have the opportunity to say, no, I am not too anything to do this. Especially if you feel like there's a project or something that you have been wanting to invest your time and energy into. And if it feels like you're kind of being tossed around and a little bit ungrounded and in the midst of the things around you changing, you feel like it's really hard for you to get your bearings and to be present and be grounded enough to figure out how to move forward. Again, this card is a reminder that you are not too anything. You are not too unsettled. You are not being thrown about. There is a level of stability here that you are allowed to claim for yourself. So my dear Aries, in order to free yourself from any unnecessary drama that's being created in your life, again, being pulled in reverse, it is likely that these dramas are actually being created inside of your head and inside of yourself. So if this resonates, just try to embrace the possibility that it can actually be a beautiful thing and a wonderful thing, and it doesn't have to be stressful all the time, even if it feels like it is. Again, one of the messages is that you are not too stuck in your ways to do anything. So if you feel like, oh, well, this has always been stressful, so it will always be stressful. No. You can change your life at any point. There is no cap as to when that is or how many times you can do that. So if you are having doubts about yourself and what you are capable of achieving or starting or creating, this card is a reminder for you that those doubts are unnecessary and you do not have to carry those if you do not want to. So be willing to examine how you are relating to these events in your life. Be willing to shift those if it feels like it is resonant and beneficial to your journey in this chapter. My dear Taurus, for anyone with predominant placements with Taurus in their chart, especially your sun, your moon, or your rising, I pulled for you the card of Tiger Eye, and this card is a combination of the energies of earth and fire. Overall, for this upcoming week, my dear Taurus, there is a big emphasis on positive willpower for you. The capacity for you to manifest things that you have in your mind or things that you have a passion for, to manifest those into reality. Your capacity to do that is very, very strong this week. So that's something that you may want to tap into and really take advantage of. I'm getting like optimism that comes from a level of having a clear purpose. So there's some level of something that I feel like you may have been trying to manifest or wanting to put your energy into, and you find a drive to that. Again, there's a level of fire, so there's a passion and an excitement and a fervor for it. And because of the earth element here of being grounded and taking action and being consistent, there's this really beautiful accumulation of energy that is honestly like phenomenal for propelling you in that direction. And again, enabling those things that are up in the mind or those things that you feel called to, being able to actually bring those into form. And a big message for you for this week is that, especially if you've been doubting it, you have everything that you need in order to get things done that you want to get done. So it is about time that you get started on those and start doing them if you haven't already. And if you have, make sure that you are continually placing your energy into taking action on whatever this idea or this thing it is that you want to be manifesting. There's also a message with Tiger Eye that if you are feeling like distracted or discouraged by the vastness of a task, like if you feel like, oh, this is something I really want to do and I'm drawn to it and I want to do it, but like, that's going to be a lot of work, you're being called to take action this week. Someday is today. The right time is right now. So whatever it is that you've kind of been maybe like, I feel like some of you may have been like dancing around something or trying to avoid it, but it's kind of there and you're like, I don't know, like I'll get to it when the time is right. Time is right. This card is screaming out that the time is right. Even if you can't explain how or why or what it is that you are drawn to, if you're feeling drawn to it, you're being asked to take action on it. Earth signs are very action oriented. You have Taurus energy. Taurus is phenomenal at putting its head down and getting the fucking work done. And again, in combination with fire, you have this really potent energy that you can put everything that you have into this. And I have a feeling that it will, even if it's not in the way that you expect, it will bear some fruits for you. So your primary lesson for this week, my dear Taurus, is to be willing to step forward with that willpower, be positive and optimistic about it, and be confident in your ability to get the things done that you need and want to get done. So be willing to take action towards all the things that you are drawn to and start taking action this week as soon as possible, today, right now. Just go out there and do it. I promise you that you will likely learn something from it, or you will see an amazing change within yourself, within your life, or at the very least within your perspective. All right, my sweet Geminis, I pulled for you the card of Turquoise. Now this card is everything to do with storytelling and narratives. I absolutely love this card because narrative work is kind of my bread and butter. If you want to change your life, the first thing that you want to shift is your perspective on it. because ultimately that's what's going to dictate your experience, and your experience of life is something that you do have a level of control over. For anyone with predominant Gemini placements, especially your sun, your moon, or your rising, your message for this week is to be willing to shift your narrative and shift your story into whatever form it is that's going to serve you. There's a level of importance for you in acknowledging that as you change over time, your perspective on life will also change. So things, especially things that have happened in the past, whether it was the recent past or the long ago past, as you become a new person, your view on those may shift. I think a great example for this is the concept of breakups, where when it's fresh, when it's new, oftentimes it's really, really hard because our perspective is very different than what it is maybe 1, 5, 10 years down the road from that. And we look back at that almost with a level of neutrality or gratitude oftentimes. And granted, that's not everyone's experience, but it's a lot easier to do that because throughout the course of that time, your perspective changes. Maybe you realize when you look back, oh, okay, there were certain things in that relationship that I was overlooking, or red flags, or the person was mistreating me and I didn't realize it at the time. Whatever the narrative is that you may have had at the time of the split, as we grow and make peace with past events, and again, this isn't just romantic relationships, but as we grow and make peace with our past, it enables us to shift the perspective of what once was. So in this week, I feel like there are going to be opportunities for you to look at the stories that you're telling yourself and to identify whether or not those stories actually serve you. Especially if you feel that you carry a higher level of victim mentality, or you feel like when you look at the stories of your life, you're always the one that's getting in trouble, or you're the one that is getting the short end of the stick, or whatever that narrative is. Of course, you don't want to gaslight yourself, but you also have the ability to say, okay, this happened, and this is how I remember it happening, but that doesn't have to be a determinant of my self-worth. Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't, whatever it was that those things that happened, your narrative of it and what it means and the meaning that you are assigning to it is something that you have immense control and power over. The story that you tell of what happened, you can change at any time. You do not need anyone else's permission external from you. In fact, even if people disagree with you, if you decide that you want to take a different perspective on something that's happened in the past, you're in a beautiful position right now, my Geminis, to step into that and to explore what that might look like for you. This is also an encouragement for you to acknowledge what is the story that you want to tell moving forward. So if you feel that it's not really resonant with you to focus on the past, or you feel like you've already kind of buried that and it's not something you want to look at, what's the story that you want to tell now? Maybe leading up to now, you have had a victim mentality within your relationships or your finances, or there's something that you feel like has not been working out for you in the past. I have a feeling, my Geminis, that it may benefit you to acknowledge whether or not the stories you've been writing have been empowering for you, and if they haven't been, look at the ways that you can shift it so that moving forward they are. Write your story in a way that honors you and in a way that heals you. You don't need someone else to be the one creating this. This is your autobiography. Even if others are challenged by your truth or challenged by the way that you see it, you are completely allowed and in fact encouraged to step into a new form of storytelling. The final thing that I like to note with this card is that if part of the story that you're telling is focusing on negatives specifically about yourself and focusing on your shortcomings and what went wrong and what you need to change and what could have been better and blah, blah, blah. If that's the focus of your story, and if that's the focus of your mind, this is also a time for you to start bringing your focus towards the things that you've done right. What are you really good at? What are your strengths? Storytelling is really beautiful because you have the capacity to have duality. You can still acknowledge these are the things that I want to work on. And when I say shift your story in a way that benefits you, this doesn't mean you see everything through rose-tinted glasses. It doesn't mean that you completely, ignore, there are other things that I could have done better or whatever. It means that you're able to look at both sides and see how does everything in this collective story benefit me, and how can I learn from it, and how can I grow from it. And a beautiful gift that I love about Gemini energy is the capacity for duality. The shadow side of this, some people may say, is being two-faced, but the way I see it is there is a level of light and dark, and Gemini energy is especially talented at accessing both of those, understanding the contrast and understanding how they play together. So tap into that natural gift that you have, my dear Geminis, and allow yourself to see the totality of life for what it is, especially your own, and allow yourself to tell that story in a way that is now going to empower and heal you as you move forward. Because you do not need to be stuck in the old narratives that maybe served you at one point, but honestly at this point, given how much you've grown, what's going on in your life, where you are today, they may not serve you. So take a peek at those narratives, take a peek at those stories that you're telling yourself, and be willing to change them. My dear sweet Cancers, anyone who has predominant Cancer placements in their natal chart, especially your sun, moon, and your rising, I pulled for you this week the card of Watermelon Tourmaline. This card has a very heavy emphasis on natural joy, a childlike joy. Every time I pull up this card, I look at it and I think of a Jolly Rancher and I think of a kid who's enjoying a piece of candy. So do with that what you will, but there is a very strong emphasis for you this week, my sweet Cancers, on stepping into a place where you can enjoy the perfection in each and every single moment. There is a lot of bliss in just being, in just existing. I think we all love vacation so much because it's an opportunity to just go and exist and to enjoy life, and you are being called this week to bask in that. For many of us, it is a holiday season, so if you have time off of work or time with family or time with yourself, you're being asked to honor that time in a way that allows you to just be. I have a feeling that this card will usually come up when there's a level of, not struggle, but maybe there's been some challenges that have been presented for you, whether that's, you know, right now or was recent past or even past. And you have an opportunity today and this week to step into a little bit more joy and a little bit more bliss of what your life is today. And a big message that comes with this card is that any problems that you have or have had don't have to define your experience of life, especially if you feel like you've been kind of sluggish or just been like beat by problem after problem or change after change, and you're maybe like trying to ground yourself and to just, like, if you're like, oh, I just need a break, like, take the damn break. You've got it. This is the time. And this break doesn't have to be something that happens in the external world, though it can be, again, especially with the holidays. But I have a feeling that this break is something that you're going to create for yourself. It's like your perspective on life is going to be able to give you a break if you look at it in the right way. Let me explain this. Children are amazing at seeing the joy in the littlest things. As we get older and we get more stuck in our ways, we have our narratives, we're focusing on work, we're focusing on problems and problem solving, it can get a little bit more challenging for us to just enjoy, to just be, because we're up in our heads trying to think our way through solving all of the world's problems. The message with this card is that you don't have to do anything in your external reality to change what your inner experience is. Your inner experience is dictated by yourself, and your inner experience right now is asking for you to just tap into a state of joy. Unconditional joy, unconditional love for each and every single moment exactly as it is, even if it's not perfect in your mind or exactly what you want. If you have the capacity to tap into that natural state of joy, you probably should consider doing that. And if this is particularly challenging for you or something that you've struggled with in the past, there may be some opportunities this week for you to do that, and I would recommend challenging yourself to step into that new way of being if it is unfamiliar to you. So allowing yourself to be present is a gift not only to yourself but to the people around you, and you are being challenged to accept that gift and to understand that there is a level of healing that comes with that. Like, I don't know about you guys, but for me, if I see someone and they're a complete stranger and I have no idea who they are, I know nothing about them, and they are just smiling, or you can see, like, when you can see a stranger visibly enjoying their life, to me, that brings a smile to my face, and that is a gift in and of itself. And you have that same capacity to give that gift to yourself and to other people. And if it's something that you feel like you've been refraining from or hiding from, or maybe you experience it but you're not sharing it with the world, this is a really good time to just be open about that and allow others to witness you in your natural joy as well. Finally, with this card, there are undertones of unconditional love, and that unconditional love applies to each and every moment, other people, as well as yourself. So be willing to acknowledge, especially in your interactions with other people, your relationships to other people, what does unconditional love look like in the best and purest form? Sometimes that can look like perseverance, a level of sacrifice even, and sometimes that looks like saying no. Just plain, cold, hard, no. So understanding where you need to maybe assert some boundaries to create that safe space, that sacred space for that natural joy to come up. Again, if this is something that you have struggled with sharing or struggled with accessing, be willing to look at the ways that maybe your environment might be affecting that. And if there are certain things that you just need to shift or move around in order to access that right now, have full permission to do that, and in fact are encouraged to do that. So take action in whatever way is necessary to allow yourself to feel the love, the joy, the abundance of the universe. And once you have set up your life, your situation, your day, etc., to be able to enjoy that, let yourself bask in that bliss. Let yourself enjoy it. Let yourself take the break. Let yourself soak in that beauty that is life. So seeing perfection in each and every moment, my dear Cancers, is your mission for this week. All right, my dear Leos, for anyone who has predominant Leo placements in their natal chart, especially your sun, moon, and rising, your mission for this week is to access different and new ways of thinking, new perspectives, and to do whatever it is that is going to bring you to a state of spiritual truth and, for lack of a better word, enlightenment. So I pulled for you guys the card of Lapis Lazuli, and this stone and this card as well are huge encouragements for you to tap into your inner vision. There is a level of consciousness that connects you to the world around you. It's not just about you. Like, this is your connectivity to Earth and to the world and the people around you. And this connection that you have is something that I feel provides you with a level of guidance, and in order to tap into that guidance, you are being asked to tap into yourself in whatever way it is that benefits you and your mind from a spiritual perspective. So a few things that might be helpful for you, and you will know what resonates with you. The first one is meditation. Being willing to sit with yourself honestly, ask yourself questions, meditate on different ideas, different perspectives, etc. Whether this is a meditation of movement or one of stillness, tapping into that unity consciousness and tapping into that deeper spiritual truth that is your own is going to be incredibly beneficial for you this upcoming week. There's also an encouragement to allow yourself to tap into non-traditional or non-ordinary ways of thinking. Now, for those of you that dabble in or are interested in psychedelics or plant medicines, this might be an opportunity for you, or there might be an opportunity for you to explore this. And if it's not something that you're feeling called to actually doing right now, maybe reflecting on past experiences that you've had or past perspectives that have come up for you. Many of you may be aware that I am a cacao practitioner, and that is something that I have found to be incredibly helpful for my spiritual growth. I've utilized cacao in conjunction with dancing, and I've also utilized it with a level of fasting. So whether you want to do a 24-hour fast, multi-day fast, etc., to me, like, those are my personal tools for accessing a higher or a different level of consciousness. Now, every single person is different, so I will not advise this for anyone. That's just simply what works for me. So if that inspires any thoughts or ideas for you as to what your process is, you're being called to tap into that for this upcoming week. There's also a level of importance with this card with tapping into new perspectives. Again, the importance of a non-ordinary way of thinking is because it gives you access to a different way of thinking, and if that's not something that you want to utilize anything external from you, you can achieve this through conversation and or journaling. Primary important thing for you, Leos, is going to be being willing to be open. Be open-minded. If there are certain people, especially people that think differently than you or have a different culture, a different background, a different way of seeing things, connecting with these sources that can give you a perspective or give you thoughts or a way of looking at something that maybe you haven't organically come upon yourself, or when that's not necessarily natural to you. I think there's something in this sort of out of realm, out of the way, like a new vantage point that will benefit you, especially if there are things that you are questioning or trying to understand how to work through. And that alternative perspective is probably the guidance that you are really going to need and benefit from. So in whatever way it serves you to reconnect with the universe and to reconnect with your spiritual self and your spiritual side, I highly recommend that you tap into that. If you are feeling a little bit lost as to how to do that, but the card reading right now or in general card readings are beneficial for you, maybe tap in with a tarot or an oracle reading. If you want me to do a personalized one for you, you can of course shoot me a message and I will be happy to do a one-on-one pull for you. Or if you have access to a deck and you want to do a pull for yourself, that is also an option. Your primary mission for this week is to expose yourself to different perspectives and to understand that the allies and the encouragements and the people, places, things, etc. that you need to grow along your journey, they may come in unexpected forms. So be willing to be open to those forms now. All right, my sweet Virgos, anyone who has predominant Virgo placements within your sun, moon, or rising, or anywhere in your natal chart, your encouragement for this week is to get clear-headed. I pulled for you the card of fluorite, and this card signifies an end to cluttered and hazy thinking. This card usually comes up when there is a degree of uncertainty, especially about like how one should proceed, what is the next best step, what do I want, what am I going for, what's going on here. Maybe there's some confusion, could be as a result of other people or as a result of yourself, things that you have done. There's something here that's just lacking and needing clarity, and that clarity is on its way to you. So I hope that that is encouraging for you, especially if you feel like that's something that you've been needing and seeking for and have not yet found. So there's a level of confusion that is about to disperse for you, which is amazing. And if you are feeling like you don't exactly know how to make that happen, or you want to take some kind of action to encourage this process to unfold a little bit quicker, one of the greatest things that you can do is to slow down and to consciously release any distractions. And releasing these distractions is ultimately a choice. You can choose to remain cluttered and confused and whatever, or you can choose to have that fog lifted. It doesn't start with changing your actions. It doesn't start with asking other people questions. It starts with you choosing, I want to find clarity. As soon as you make this declaration to the universe, to yourself, I have a feeling that there are things in the way that you show up, the questions that you're willing to ask, that may shift. There is a degree of lack of clarity and a degree of confusion that can sometimes keep us feeling safe, especially if that confusion is causing us to delay making a decision. And in delaying that decision, the safety that we are granted is nothing changes, so to speak. However, no decision is still a decision, and that decision is to keep things as they are. So your first step, if you want to end this chaos in your mind, if you want to end this scattered thinking, is to decide that you no longer want to live with that. Now, this might be challenging for some people, especially if you're in a position where you're like, I did decide that and nothing changed. Now, one way that you can kind of alleviate this within your life is to understand what is clear for you. Like, if you feel like there's so much that's unclear and you don't know about, maybe write a list about what are you certain of? What do you know? What do you know that you want? What do you feel like you have clarity on, and allow that list to guide you. If your intentions are clear and you can align your actions to your intention, you are creating a very simple path, not necessarily easy, but a very simple path for achieving clarity, because at this point, your mind and your actions will match each other. I think a lot of the times when we suffer from a lack of clarity, it's when we are a little bit muddied as to what we want, or we know what we want, but our actions are not necessarily reflecting that back to us. Having been pulled upright, it is definitely possible that this is more a result of external forces or external situations. So if you're like, yeah, that's great, Alexa, but none of these things are changing no matter what I do, then the best thing for you right now is to allow yourself to become calm and to become still. If you have access to fluorite, or if you can find the crystal anywhere, it is a phenomenal stone to meditate with. And I have a feeling that spending some time with this energy, whether it is in the flesh physically or even just tapping in with this particular card, maybe the colors, whatever it's making you think of, creating a still space in your mind and the calmness that comes with that is going to be your number one guiding force for this week. So my dear Virgos, your energy, the energy of Virgo, is all about refinement. The shadow side of this can be perfectionism. So make sure that, you know, the things that you're searching for clarity on, you don't need to know everything, okay? You don't need 100% answers on everything. You don't need to know exactly how everything is going to go. But do focus on the things that you want clarity on and the things that you have clarity on, and see how you can utilize those things to bring about answers as to what it is that you actually need to know. Because you probably don't need to know some of the things that you think you need to know. Maybe you just need to know how to show up or what the next best step is. So take some time to meditate on that, think on that, consciously choose to release that cluttered thinking. If you have to clear out your space, maybe clean house a little bit, whatever it is that you need to do to create a sense of order and clarity within your own life and within your own actions, I would say start there and see where that takes you this week. Okay, my dear Libras, for anyone with predominant Libra placements, your sun, your moon, or your rising within your natal chart, I pulled for you the card of Raw Morganite, and this card is a huge encouragement for you for this upcoming week to tap into a level of gentleness. The energy of this stone is calling for a level of sensitivity and a level of compassion. This is something that you're going to want to extend to the people around you and to the life around you, but also something that you want to make sure that you are accessing for yourself. Generally, this card may come up if you've been a little bit rough around the edges, maybe a little bit unforgiving, perhaps a little bit cold and kind of just closing yourself off from the heart-centered place that you are capable of coming from. And this week, my dear Libras, you are being challenged to allow yourself to be soft, allow yourself to be empathetic and compassionate. There is so much value for you in this week with being vulnerable and being willing to embrace your gentle side. Your gentle side is not a weakness. Gentleness is in fact a strength. A lot of people may not see it that way because of the stories they were told, the way they were raised, the way that their parents were raised, whatever it is. But that gentle level of assertiveness is your greatest strength for this week. A beautiful message that comes with this card, especially if you feel like you have not had a choice or you feel like, oh, this is the best way for me, is that you do not need to be forceful in order to access or in order to attain the things that you are desiring. You don't need to force things to happen. You don't need to force the gifts that you are entitled to come into your life. They're already on their way. And a level of strong feminine energy, and this is not a male-female thing. This feminine energy is receptive, it is open, it is gentle, it is nurturing. That feminine energy is going to put you into the energetic state to receive those things. If you are trying to force things, it is signaling to the universe that you don't believe that they're naturally going to come to you. So energetically, you are signaling a level of doubt, and you are signaling a level of, this is something that I have to make happen. Whereas, again, some things you are entitled to receive, and this, whatever it is that you're thinking of, is probably one of them. I will now caveat this card by saying that everything comes with a level of balance, so there is, of course, importance in vulnerability. However, you don't want to do that at the expense of oversharing. A beautiful reminder of this card is to be gentle with others, but also to be willing to be gentle with yourself. If you think about a best friend or a child, maybe your younger self or one of your friends as a child, what is the level of gentleness that you would approach them with? What is the way that you would speak to them? What is the way that you would comfort them, encourage them, etc.? That same gentle, sensitive, nurturing energy is also the energy that you're going to want to apply to yourself. Now, one of the ways that this may look, again, in being gentle to other people, you may want to be not overtly protective of them, but willing to create almost like a nest for them where they can be safe. This same nest you're going to create for yourself. So maybe this means that you're going to have to set some boundaries. Maybe setting those boundaries is a little bit uncomfortable or challenging for you. But ultimately, your compassion and your kindness should also be extending to yourself. It is not just about the people around you. Some people who have woundings or they have not done the work on themselves may not necessarily appreciate that right now. But your mission is to step into that level of gentleness, so that is something you can also extend to them, whether or not they are willing to receive it. Allowing yourself to be sensitive, gentle, and kind and compassionate is your biggest weapon this week, and I mean weapon in the best way possible. So make sure that you are willing to tap into that energy. Allow yourself to do it, especially if you are feeling like you've been a little bit hard on life, on others, or on yourself. Now is a really beautiful chance for you to practice gentle, loving kindness. All right, for my Scorpios, anyone who has predominant Scorpio placements in your sun, moon, or rising, this week your focus is to pay attention to what you're focusing on. The card I pulled for you is that of clear quartz, and this card is a big messenger that screams, what you focus on is what's going to grow. Where your mind goes, your energy flows, so whatever it is that you are putting energy into, know that it is going to expand. If you are looking at the negatives all the time, you're being a negative Nancy, that's what is going to persist for you. If you are looking at the positive sides of life, if you're being optimistic, that's what's going to grow for you. You have full rights to say what it is that you want to experience more of, but I'm telling you, whatever it is, when this card comes up, it is acknowledging that whatever you're focusing on is going to have a level of amplification in your life, so be cognizant and mindful of what those things are. If you are putting a lot of attention on things that don't actually really matter to you, whether it is habits, people, old patterns, diet, exercise, lack thereof, whatever it is, whatever your energy is going into, be mindful of what you are focusing on, because that's going to have a direct result on what you are going to experience in the next chapter. This card also is encouraging you to be cognizant of whatever it is that makes you feel alive and to do more of it. If you want to have a vivacious life, know the things that bring that level of joy, that level of excitement, that level of passion, fervor. Know those things what brings that to you, and focus your energy on that. Because again, this card is all about amplification, so those things are going to amplify the more you put energy into them. If you've been following my journey for a while, you may be aware that I am very big on gratitudes. I think a practice of gratitudes is one of the most important things that you can do. So this week it may really benefit you, if you are not already, to start a practice of gratitudes every single morning. Just write down 3 to 5, maybe 10 things that you are grateful for, because this is going to train your mind to see more things that you're grateful for, and it's going to amplify things that you are grateful for in your life. What I love about this practice is it doesn't require anything about your external reality to change in order for your experience of it to shift. And if this is something that's new for you, it may be a little bit uncomfortable or even challenging at first to find new and different things that you're grateful for. But as time goes on and you focus energy into this practice, energy into being grateful, it becomes almost like a natural instinct, and finding things that you're grateful for will become increasingly simpler and easier for you. So say thank you for the things that you love in your life, especially if you want to receive more of them. This can be acknowledged verbally, especially if it involves other people or other parties, but it's also something that can be done within yourself, journaled out, or even just said to yourself in your mind. Have faith that the more energy you're putting into the things that you want, the more you will see them come to you. I feel like that was a very short and sweet message, but a very powerful one. Okay, so we're gonna move into Sagittarius now. My Sagittarians, you guys got one of my favorite cards in the deck, and I did pull this card in reverse, which implies that there may be some shadow work with this, some inspection at yourself, looking at yourself as opposed to projecting onto others, maybe a little bit of resistance to what is about to be said, but it is, my God, a beautiful card. So in reverse, I pulled for you the card of Labradorite, and this is all about a level of magic within life. I like to think of myself as pretty driven by logic, though I also am driven by emotions, and I think those things are really important. Having said that, this card is all about mystery and synchronicity. If you feel like you are looking for a magical experience, or you are resistant to a magical experience, I have a feeling for some of you it might be the latter. Like if you feel like there's no way that this can turn around, there's no way that this can get better, everything is doom and gloom. If you don't see any logical way for things to get better, your calling for this week is to tap into the reality that is magic. I don't know if you have ever looked into spontaneous healings or anything like that, but if you want something to remind you of the fact that there is a level of magic and unexpected surprise and gifts in this life that exists, look into different forms of spontaneous healings. Like people with stage 4 cancer, basically on their deathbed, there's no possible way that they're gonna get better, all the odds are looking down, and they have these miraculous healing experiences. This energy, this magical energy, while it may not happen in that exact way for everyone, is something that you are being asked to pay attention to and to tap into this week, especially if you have been feeling down or discouraged. Now, yes, I did give a very extreme example of it, but my point is that that energy is potent and it's powerful, and it is here for you this week. Now, the reason why I love this card so much is because it comes with my favorite message out of any card on the entire deck. That message is to release the need for certainty and make room instead for magic. If you feel like you need to know the answers, you need to have an idea of what's going to happen in order for you to proceed or to feel comfortable, you are being challenged this week to release that need or that feeling of that need. Make room for the possibility that something wonderful might happen instead. This can look a few different ways. This can look like help coming from unexpected sources. It could be financial sources, could be other people, could be strangers on the street. Even if at first those things feel a little bit discouraging or challenging, they may turn out to be a blessing in disguise. And you are being asked right now to allow yourself to accept that blessing in disguise energy, because it's ultimately a blessing that's probably going to bring you some level of magic for your life or yourself. There is a huge importance for you to believe in the mystery of healing and to understand that we don't always know why things work, but sometimes they do. Placebo effect is a real thing. Whether or not we believe that's something that's going to work or not, in my opinion, I think that ends up accounting for a large part of whether or not it actually does. So if there's something in you that's whispering this small but seemingly unimportant thing is important, you should probably pay attention to that, because I think it's directing you into a path or into a direction that's going to bring more of that magic your way, more synchronicities, more inexplicable things where you turn around in a few years and you look back, or even a few days and you're like, how the hell did that happen? That was magical. Like, there are some things that just cannot be explained, and I have a feeling that you are on the cusp of one of them. Given that this card is pulled in reverse, I have a few ideas as to what this might actually mean. One of them being that this could be something that is a completely internal experience. This might be something that doesn't have any outside shift. Like, if there's something that you feel you've wanted to heal within yourself, it could be a belief system, it could be a physical thing, a digestive thing, an injury. It could also be like the way in which you show up, or maybe a blockage you've been dealing with. Having a level of belief that, like, that, whatever that thing is, it can heal and it can shift. Even if you're challenged by that belief or by stepping into that belief, I have a feeling that once you do, you may start to see it. If you are believing in something or not, that's usually going to be reflected back to you. There's also an acknowledgement, because this was pulled in reverse, if this is pulling up shadow for you or challenging events, or you're not really sure how to approach it, or if you feel like you're just not there yet, like you feel like the magic is not there, or it's not something that you believe in, maybe just taking time to acknowledge that whatever situation it is that's happening right now is preparing you for something. So maybe it's all doom and gloom and things seem horrible right now, and you're like, where's the magic? It still isn't here. Where's the magic? Still don't see it. I don't know where it's coming from. Maybe the magic is that this moment is preparing you for the magic. It's preparing you to receive it. So if you don't see it right away, that's not a reason to be discouraged. It's not a reason for you to lose hope and to lose faith in things. It is possible that you are learning things, you're growing into the person that you need to be in order to receive those magical things in the future. And if that is the case, have faith in the timeline. It doesn't have to happen all at once, but this week, your big challenge is to allow yourself to tap into what the word magic means to you, what that may look like, how that may manifest, and to be willing to accept it into your life. And if you're still feeling doubtful, look for some signs, ask for some signs, look for signs that you are loved, look for signs that you are healing, look for signs that maybe today is 10% better or even 1% better than yesterday, and that is enough. Beautiful. All right, my dear Capricorns, this week is all about risk and adventure. The card I pulled for you is Mookaite Jasper, and this card is encouraging you to be open to new experiences and to be open to exploring unknown territories. If you have Capricorn in your sun, your moon, your rising, or any predominant placements in your natal chart, this week is a time for you to reclaim your personal power by saying yes to things that are challenging or new. This card tells me that the seemingly safe road is not the right one for you to take right now, my dear. I know that can be a little bit scary and a little bit, but you are being pushed into the spirit of adventure right now. When this card comes up, it's acknowledging that you do not have to hold back to protect yourself from life. There's a few different iterations of what this might mean. It might mean that whatever situation it is that you're afraid of or kind of trying to shy away from, maybe that situation is not going to hurt you, so you don't need to be afraid of it. Or that situation, maybe it will have some repercussions, but you are ready for those and they're not going to fuck you up like you think that they are, my dear. So I have a feeling that whatever it is that you're going to step into, if it's there, if the opportunity is there, it's there for a reason, and the reason is for you to take it because you are ready to. You do not have to do this. You can continue to postpone this and push this off, but you will continue to get offers to step into these new possibilities, these new adventures, these new risky states. And those offers will continue until you are willing to do it. And there is no reason or need. When I pull this card, it's telling me there is no need for you to hold off at this point. You are ready, my dear. You are ready. It could be a business venture. It could be a relationship. It could be a move. Maybe there's a new type of physical activity that you want to try. Whatever it is, there's something that you've kind of been like dancing around and a little bit afraid of. Just go for it. Right now, just go for it. The adventure that you've got before you is one of discovery. All right, so new experiences, new partners, new possibilities, new things that are coming into fruition for you are here to teach you something, and you are here to learn something. Of course, whatever these things are, I would encourage that you are acting in accordance with your values, but there's a difference with saying, I don't resonate with this, or this compromises my values, and I'm just scared to do it because I don't know what's gonna happen. Doesn't matter if you don't know what's gonna happen. It's time, it's here. It's there for a reason, my dear. There is also a level with this card that says that you are evolving, and as a result, so are your opportunities. And if an opportunity that you have taken in the past, maybe, again, going back to feeling like you don't wanna get hurt or you don't wanna get hurt again, if you're presented with something in the past, maybe you feel like there's almost like a deja vu, like, oh, I've been here and I don't know how I feel about proceeding because last time, and you're kind of scared. The opportunity has evolved, because since that has happened, since whatever that experience was, you have also evolved, and I think you know it. So that thing, whatever that thing is that you are fearing, even if the opportunity looks like it may have some resemblance to that past thing, it's not the same, because you're not the same person. So you're not going to be getting dished out the same experiences over and over and over again until you've learned your lesson. I mean, you will until you've learned a lesson, but what this card tells me is you've learned it and you're ready to keep moving forward, because this time something's going to be different. The things that have happened in the past are helpful to inform our decisions, of course, but right now you don't need to be obsessing about old maps. You don't need to be obsessing about where you've come from. You don't need to be obsessing about what once was, because if you are willing to change and to transform, the future does not have to look like the past did. So in order to become the person you need to become, or that you want to become, you have to be willing to take certain risks. And those risks, even if they are scaring you, I am telling you, if you have grown from past experiences, those past experiences were there to give you the tools that you needed now so that you could step into future you, who you want to become, and you are ready for that transition to happen as long as you say that you are. So if you say, I'm ready to step into who I want to be, I'm ready for the shift to unfold, I am ready for the beautiful change in my life that I've been asking for, then go for it, because you are ready and you do not need to doubt yourself. Even if other people are doubting you, or if you are doubting yourself, it is not necessary. So whatever fears it is that you feel are holding you back, consciously release them. It's time to let go of those this week, my Capricorns, and be willing to step into what is new, because it is exciting and there's adventure here for you. All right, my dear Aquarians, your encouragement for this week is to be joyful and enthusiastic, because I pulled for you the card of citrine in reverse. Now, this card is a huge messenger of the importance of exuberance and releasing negativity. This card is here as a reminder for you to be happy today. Maybe the people around you are like, I don't want to say gaslighting you, but maybe you feel like it's really hard for you to be joyful in your current circumstances. Having been pulled in reverse, this tells me that maybe this is something that you're inflicting on yourself. Maybe you're gaslighting yourself or telling yourself, oh, you shouldn't be happy, you don't deserve to be happy, blah, blah, blah. And this card tells me that that is a goddamn lie. You do deserve to be happy, and you are encouraged to tap into that, especially for this week. This card is here to help you amplify the level of joy that you have in your life, and it is up to you whether or not you want to do that. This is going to be one of the weirdest examples that I ever give, but I found a meme the other day and I thought it was hilarious, and I think it really actually applies to this card. And the meme basically said, I feel bad for people who don't laugh at farts because they will have the same amount of farting in their lives but less laughter. I mean, that wasn't exactly what it said, but it was something along those lines. You get the picture. The things that happen in your life are going to happen regardless of whether or not you choose to be joyful about them, and you have the opportunity to choose to be joyful in the midst of it all. And this may be challenging for you. This may feel like almost disingenuous a little bit, and this is not to get you to dissociate from your actual feelings or to disown them. It's more about accepting duality, accepting that even in challenging times there are still things you can be joyful about, and even in joyful times there are still things that are challenging or that you can be sad about. And right now you have the opportunity to tap into joy completely regardless of whatever's going on around you. If you are feeling like tapping into that level of joy is really challenging for you right now, there is definitely an encouragement for you to carve out some time this week to create spaces where it's easier for you to tap into that level of happiness or that level of joy. For example, if you have a partner and you really benefit from quality time, carve out some quality time to help build that sense of joy for yourself. If that does not apply to you, but there are other areas in your life where you get a significant boost of joy and excitement, or things that just kind of like light you up, be willing to tap into those this week. I know that we have a holiday coming up for many people, and for some that inherently comes with joy, and for some that inherently comes with a little bit of struggle or challenge. But whatever it is that you need to do to create a safe space where you can have some of that joy come through, that's gonna be your primary goal. If you are like me and you get a lot of joy out of movement or out of dancing, make sure that you make time for that this upcoming week. The beautiful thing about stepping into your joy is that the more that you're willing to do that, the more it helps other people to release their cynicism or their worry about life. So it is not it's not selfish to be joyful. It's not selfish to be happy. It's encouraging for other people around you, especially for people that love you, because they want to see you that way. So not all of life has to be perfect for you to tap into this, but you do have the ability to tap into this and to tap into it now. So if that feels good to you, I recommend that you begin doing so. Create a space where you can take action from a level of enthusiasm and you can be excited and exuberant about life. That is your primary focus and objective for this upcoming week. And finally, for my Pisces, if you are a Pisces sun, moon, or rising, or have other predominant placements, I pulled for you in reverse the card of Chrysocolla, and this card is all about speaking your truth, heartfelt communication, and right speech. If there are certain things that are true to you that you have not been saying or you've avoided been saying, it's time to say them. Sometimes it's easy for us to hold our tongue, be quiet, be shy, not say the things that we actually want to say or the things that we actually feel because we're afraid that we're not enough or we're afraid of how others will react. And especially given that this card is pulled in reverse, it does imply that there is possibly a level of personal struggle or challenge, maybe a little bit of shadow work that needs to be done. There's possibly something also in your level of self-worth that may be challenged this week, and your encouragement in order to work with that energy is to allow yourself to speak your actual truth and to speak your actual mind. Number one message with this: do not hold your tongue out of fear of not being enough or out of fear of not deserving to have a say, because you absolutely deserve to have your say. And if you have been convincing yourself that you do not, or other people have been convincing you that you do not, that narrative, that story that you're telling yourself is something that is probably subject for you to begin shifting, and you will have ample opportunities to do it this week if you allow that for yourself. With this card also comes the caveat of the importance of understanding how much gravity words do hold, and knowing that the things that you speak are important. And it is vital for you to choose your words consciously. You don't want to just lash out and throw out whatever words come to your mind. Yes, expressiveness is important, but with that level of expression you're being encouraged to tap into also comes a level of responsibility. When you are willing to take the time to be honest with yourself about the things that you want to say, and you come forward with the energy and the intention of saying those things and saying them boldly, even if they may challenge some people, you can have faith that you will be heard this week. Whatever it is that you have to say, you will be heard. Now, some people may not acknowledge it right away. They may not know what to say or how to reply, but what you have to say, what you have to deliver, what is wanting to be shared from you is important, and it will be received. Having Pisces energy, this may be a little bit challenging, especially if you feel that what you have to say is different than the people around you. I am a Pisces moon, so I understand that Piscean energy of kind of meshing with other people, and there's a challenge with creating boundaries or your own personal identity sometimes with that. That is kind of the shadow side of the Pisces energy. And right now, understanding your individuality and what is important about your perspective and where you stand, and being willing to bring that forth in an honorable way will have immense gifts for your own personal journey and your own personal development. So I highly recommend that you challenge yourself to step into that, whatever way that may manifest for you this week. This could be a conversation with a family member, this could be a conversation with a boss, romantic partner, someone that you work with, a client. There's something in the way of a level of communication that you may want to acknowledge. Finally, having been pulled in reverse, if this does not resonate with you as it pertains to other people, this may be your relationship to yourself and the way that you are speaking to yourself. So understand that your words have weight to them. Understand that the way that you speak to others is important. The things that you speak to yourself is also important. Be honorable with your word, mean what you say, and don't let yourself believe that what you have to say does not deserve to be said. All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate having you all here. Make sure that you tune in next week, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the notification bell to be notified. I will be releasing a new reading every single week, and next year I will probably also be releasing a few extra special readings. So if you don't want to miss those, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok at alexab.alchemy. And as always, thank you guys so much for witnessing the journey. Appreciate you guys watching the sunset on my face, and I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers.